What do you do if your washing machine starts making funny noises or leaking or doing something it's not supposed to do? The first thing I've done is spend about an hour watching a half dozen different videos on YouTube so that I'm confident I know how to take this apart and I know what to look for. Because it's a noise on the spin cycle, I'm going to be looking at the rear bearing particularly. Now we'll wait for these to run, and then we'll listen on the back to where I think the bearing is wearing out. I'm going to go ahead and take this back panel off so I can see behind here. Well, after watching it with the back off and running these cycles again, my best guess at this point is still the bearing that is in here, which unfortunately means I've got to take the whole thing apart. The thing that makes the tub spin is a magnetic electric motor on here. So it's a bunch of stators and this is connected to it that spins. A 17 millimeter socket to take that off, ratchet, and this is a 3/8 drive socket, so I'm going to use my little reducer from 1/2 inch to 3/8 and then take this off. This is the soap drawer here. This pulls out, and in this case I press down on that and it will come out of the receiver here. To remove the tub, I've got to disconnect everything that's on the tub and then get it out. So I'm going to take these two hoses off. There's a little electrical connection here, so I'm going to have to cut that zip tie. And this is the back side of the bushing. So there's a tab that springs out and holds this pin, a plastic pin that goes through there. That becomes the axle for the shock absorber, so the tub can bounce around while it's spinning but not go anywhere. It might not have been a bad idea to buy the parts for that and replace that too, but I didn't do that and I'm not going to. But the way you get those off, or one way you can get those off, is by getting a socket head and get the right size. It just fits over that. This is a set of metrics, that's too big. And let me jump down a couple and see. Here's a 13 millimeter. If that will pinch over it, put that there for now. Pinch that in so that I could pull it through. So now there's two springs, one on either side, holding this tub. They're supporting the weight of this tub right now. They have a little safety retention mechanism here that you can pop out, and those are in there just so that the spring doesn't pop out in service. I want you to be able to see that you can do things if you want to. This channel is not for DIY stuff. If you're here for that reason, that's fantastic, but it's really for young men growing up without a dad, because I want you to know that you can figure this stuff out with the help of YouTube or Stepdad or other resources that are probably even better than this. Alright, there might be an orientation. That feels fairly stable. Okay, so now I need to take all these 10 millimeter sockets off. Then I'm just going to go around all these and break them loose. Yeah, I can't bring the tub out with it. Okay. Now the other thing I've got, a little bit of penetrating oil. I ordered the replacement part kits. I found it after I had the model number. Did the search. It was like 21 bucks for this, and it had 4-point-something star rating, and it's got a 5-year warranty. What it has in it is the seal for the two tubs when I take that apart and put it back together, and then there's an inner seal, and then the two bearings. This is probably what is the issue with the washing machine now. One trick you're going to want to do is to put those in the freezer as soon as you get them, so that when you're ready to put them in, they'll go in just a little bit easier. And now there's an inner bearing right here and the outer bearing on the back side here. And we're gonna pop that out first. Okay, so after a lot of hammering, this finally came out. This is the rear bearing. Now we've turned the tub over and we have to do the same thing again for the inner bearing and try to push that out. Let's see what it looks like. There it is. Here's the old bearings that we took out. We had to hammer those out. We're ready to put the bearings back in, the new ones, so the replacements. Okay, so we're doing the inner one first. We take the old bearing, use that as a punch to put it on top, and then we're gonna tap this down. This is the way it should go in. So I'm just gonna push this in until it's flush. Now we'll do the back one. We will be hammering on it. The same thing. I'm taking this one, I'll put the other face down to this face, and we'll use that to hit this in. So all we did was invert the basket and put the assembly right back on top of that, watching it so it went right down the center. And you'll notice it spins quite nicely now. I'm just putting this lightly in the groove for starters. Towards the bottom. Start these lightly by hand all the way around the circumference. So I'm going to go ahead and put this upper weight back on before I put the wash basin into the machine. So now let's put it in. Okay, so now it's roughly in position. Okay, that side's on, and that side's on. The tub is hanging from those two springs. Okay, now we're gonna get these shock absorbers or struts down here on the bottom. We'll connect these two hoses again. So just loosen that hose clamp. Put the hose over the top. So you squeeze the hose clamp, and when there's no tension on it, slide it up. Put this down in. So down here we've got that bottom hose, the drain hose that we need to connect, and we've got this strut on the bottom. I'm going to do that one last, hoping it gives me easier access to the hose. So let's just get that boot back up on and then the clamp screwed down. Alright, this just goes right through there. So here's the motor. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and connect the wire harness to the motor. The machine is unplugged. So I'm going to put those two clips. Ooh. So this little bracket has two holes. The one just sticks in there for orientation, and then the other one secures it in place. So the rest of this wire harness, 3 more bolts. There's little clamps to hold it in place. Before we put this last bolt in, we're going to put a little thread sealant on it. When there's a bolt in a place like this that has a lot of vibration, bolts could work their way loose and you don't want to do that. Thread sealant, and there's different types of thread sealant, will help avoid that. In fact, you can see there's some blue on these threads already. That's from what was in there before. You can break it loose, but we're going to put a little bit of thread sealant. So we'll start that in here. Again, I turn it backwards a little bit on a machine. We're done back here. These tuck in. There was one more wire connection I made up here. This is the light that's in the liner by the door, and I've connected it right there and secured it. So now we should be ready to put the front panel on. The door gasket goes around. All right, there's, and snaps along the back. So we will tuck that in like that. We've set it in the slots, we've positioned it in place. We're going to push it back through to where these little tabs come through the slots that are punched for them in this mating frame. So the last thing is the soap drawer. We'll slide that in. There's a little thing to push down to get it to go in, and then it's on. All right, now we're here. I'm gonna plug it in, make sure I put the drain hose down the drain chute. I never did disconnect the water lines. All right, we will do the acid test. I didn't put the top on, and that's okay. That way, if I hear noises or see something, I can visually check it out while it's running. But I'm just gonna run this on normal, and we'll see. As much as I wish this weren't the case, I don't want to do some video that doesn't show the realities. This started running the cycle, and there's a lot of water on the floor, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. But I did realize there was one hose connection I didn't make when I put this together again, and it's this one. Now, I can't imagine the amount of water that came out due to this issue, but I'm putting that hose back on now. We'll try it again and see if we still have an issue or not. Fortunately, we've got a good inventory of towels. However, there was quite a puddle underneath last time, and I don't think that it would just be that. Not without visible drips coming off in the process. I don't see any from there. Let's look underneath. I do not see any water on the floor yet. Turns out that the seal in the door, I thought I had gotten on, and I didn't get it on. So it was leaking out the bottom of the seal of the tub underneath. This is definitely orders of magnitude quieter than it was before the bearing replacement. This channel is designed for young men who have grown up without their dad or who are growing up without their dad. If that's you, then I hope you'll subscribe.